Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Tuesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there. Join the militia. The Orange basketball squad barely gets by Richmond in overtime, 74-71 in the Empire Classic last night. And like I said on Twitter, it's too early, much too early for these types of games. And I'm not ready to handle such a thing. And I don't expect to have to handle such a thing this early in the season. But nonetheless, you'll hear from us.
Oh, come on.
We'll hear from you and fan feedback live on the Spotify app and on Facebook for that segment. And Syracuse football will hit the road to take on Boston College this Saturday at 7:30. Another primetime game for the Orange. That's awesome. We get another primetime game. I think I love it. You know I love the prime times, Joe. We'll let you know what we think about all of that. Again, the Facebook thing has been tested, and I believe it works, but we will find out for sure. And I'm learning all of this as I go. So, look, a couple things. The Spotify Live app. If you're not in there, get in there. Download the damn thing. Sign up. Get an email address, a username, and a password. Sign up. Follow us at Cuse Militia. Sign up for notifications so you know when we go live in there, and you can get in there. That's real time. There's no delay. Facebook Live has got about a 10-second delay. So, in one you can talk to us in the other one you can't. So, but there are fan chats in both, and it just a heads up, be very difficult to monitor both, but we will try because that's what we do. Also, reviews. Got a couple reviews. Really appreciate those. Really, really do. And anybody listens on Apple iTunes, I'm trying to get to 100 reviews. Okay. They're not all going to be 5 stars, but if you think we deserve a 5-star review, please go there. Hit the 5 stars. Tell us what you think. Even if you hate it, hit the 5 stars, and then you can cuss us out in the review. That's fine. Okay? The 5 stars is all that matters. All right? And we appreciate all of you that do that. So, last night, a tough win against a decent Richmond squad, and I guess it is kind of what we are to expect, I think. And we'll see what happens tonight. We're not going to preview tonight's game, but we will see. But let's hear what Coach had to say immediately following the game.
You know, it was really.
By the way, the buzzing, that is their setup, not ours. Just thought I'd clarify.
Tough game. I thought that we did a lot of good things, but it's, our forwards are still not looking and seeing where the shooters are, and they're standing there. So, we've got to defend that. When we defend that line, they didn't have anything, but we didn't defend it. Benny and Chris both gave up like 4 threes that they were really in trouble in the possession. We can't do that. I think the good news is we needed to get a stop at the end of regulation, and we got it. And then the overtime, 2 freshmen made the first 2 buckets. And our defense was good in the overtime. But we need, we're young. We got a lot of work to do. We got a long way to go. And this was a good step, a really tough game. And obviously, at the end, they had the edge, and we were able to overcome it and get into overtime and win. So, good win, but there's a lot we can learn from it, and hopefully we will be able to. When your 2 starting forwards get 4 rebounds, you shouldn't win the game. They have to rebound. They're both scorers. They think about scoring. They need to think about defense and rebounding, period. You know, Joe had a great first half, and then he tried too much in the second half. He's got to figure the balance out. And when he gets good shots, he makes them. His second half, he did have 2 or 3 good ones he missed. You're going to miss. But then he took a couple he shouldn't. In some of those situations, both Jude and him get in the lane, and Jesse's got to be found. We have to find Jesse. Jesse has to move better, but we have to find Jesse down there. And, you know, he was a presence on defense in the second half. I think, 5 or 6 blocks. That was a big difference in the game. But it's a great game to get a win in, but there's just too many bad things out there that we're going to have to work on and correct.
You said the defense to begin the game wasn't great. What improved in the defense as that game went on to get those crucial stops?
They were really patient, and it's really difficult to play defense for 30 seconds, and they make you do that. But other than there was 3 or 4 obvious plays where Chris should have come up, Benny should have come up, and they got 4 threes out of it. If we had taken that away, it would have been a really good defensive effort. But we didn't. We didn't take it.
Coach, what does a win like this, with your freshmen playing so well down the stretch, do for their development here early in the season?
We have so much to do to get better that it's a long, long list. So we got a lot of work to do, and we're happy to win, but it was not a good game for us. You can't get beat on the boards like that, and you can't leave people open shooting threes when you're there. It's one thing, like Colgate did such a good job, they had open threes. This team, we were there, and we didn't contest the shot. There's one thing being there, and the other thing is contesting the shot, and we didn't contest the shot, period.
All right, Joe, let's start at the top of this thing. Tough win, as I mentioned earlier, tough game in general. Benny and Chris, doesn't seem to me that they're doing what Coach wants them to do. 4 rebounds between the two of them. 27 for the team total to 44. And like Coach said, how do you expect to win when, 12 of those 44, let's be honest, came at the last offensive possession for Richmond, so there's that. But no, I think it was 5 or 6 anyway. But still would have crushed us on the boards. And you can't expect to win going forward with games like that. But to his point, still kind of hammering on Benny and Chris to get up there and do what they're supposed to be doing defensively before they're looking at shots. With that said, Benny had 4 steals. And that's not terrible. I mean,
right.
Bell had 11 points. That's decent. But to his point, Joe, I mean, how much of this is just development and learning? It seems Coach is a little frustrated. He's not happy with just this win. I feel like he thinks that it should be better. Maybe. He understands, I think, obviously, that this team has a lot to learn, but he's not very excited. And if I was to just go off of his body language, it would make me sad. But I'm going off of a little bit of what I see, what I expect, and the potential I see. Joe.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing is rebounding. Whenever they're out rebounded like that, and I mean, 20 offensive rebounds, and we're lucky that they only had 9 second chance points, but whenever we get out rebounded, he's not happy, and he always seems like he's not always 100% good with how a game went. And when you look at the numbers, what kept us in there was athleticism and turnovers. I mean, we had 19 stocks with 10 steals, 9 blocks, and sometimes it really doesn't matter. I mean, obviously Judah Mintz with his steal to the dunk, that's all him. But sometimes you get steals and blocks based upon the rest of your teammates and the defense that they were playing. And I believe that we held them scoreless or close to scoreless for like the last 6.5 minutes.
Yeah,
our defense really stepped up.
Yeah. And they caused a lot of shot clock violations just throughout the game in general. Made them hold the ball and keep guessing. They were very active.
But especially the last 7 minutes and overtime.
Overtime was excellent.
Teams kind of grow up a little bit and learn a little bit about the zone, and I think that they adjusted well. But I mean, realistically, you look at it, 44-27, and we're just lucky that the turnover margin was 18-6, and Joe was just on fire in the first half, because with Jesse going out, that kind of hurt our offense. And I think that Hema came in, played good defense, but it takes away from our offense, and Joe stepped up in a big way. Easily could have been a game that we could have lost. And to Jim's point, you rebound better, you play a little bit better defense, getting out in those shooters. That should have probably been an easier win technically. But again, like to your point, it's development, man. It's, you got freshmen out there, and then they're trying to figure it out. And I think near the end of the game last night, I think they did, and you saw them kind of take a little bit of a step. And it doesn't mean that there might not be a regression against a different team or whatever, but you saw them kind of figure out what a team was doing throughout a game, and they listened to the coaches, and they adjusted, and they played really, really good defense to close that out, and to get that W. Going into overtime too, close game, coming back. We were down in the second half. That takes some resiliency, and with a young team, coming in and winning that game, that's a big win, I believe, personally.
I think so. And for not for anything, for the simple fact that regardless of what Richmond does, I feel like that to be
not a loss in that conference.
Exactly. That's where I'm at. Like I don't give a crap how it was done. I'm not deterred by it. I feel like they kind of were trending towards the. Oh, Ken Palm doesn't have his graphic up here. They looked like they were kind of trending towards the to a loss towards the end of the game, right? And they just made the stops to be able to take the thing into overtime. And you want to talk about real quick just Judah Mintz and his performance, and he's just been fantastic all year, and so far in the 4 games and 16 points. But he made the one small mistake. Maybe you got a better shot. You got a better chance at taking that shot at the end of regulation instead of trying to pass it off. Pass is a little lazy and kind of late, but nonetheless, the effort was there. And
it's the right play. I mean, obviously, some people are going to say, "Well, you didn't get the clock off." Like,
well, it's easy for me to sit here and say you should have shot it,
right?
Yeah, so. No, I get it. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, in hindsight, it's you think, man, the kid could have, would have, should have taken the shot. And it's easy for me to say.
Make that pass 10 out of 10
okay,
times.
yeah.
Right?
Well, the pass was late.
It was. You're right. It
was late.
And then what happens is he learns from that, the time management type thing. College game. Trying to figure it out.
I wanted to see the shot. I was a little upset about the pass. That's fine. Yeah, it is what it is. They pulled it off in overtime. Joe Girard goes off in the first half, and he was phenomenal there. And he scores a career high 31 points. And then, the Joe trying too hard type of thing comes into play a little bit. And I understand it, but utilize what you got, I think. And when you're not feeling it, and maybe you take a couple bad ones and you miss. I mean, he missed the first 3 of the second half.
Yeah,
3-pointers. And when you get to that point, you got to say, okay, all right, look, I need to regroup a little bit. He finally saw one go down, and he started to kind of pick it up, but he didn't finish where he started. But just trying to do too much. I mean, he's got the talent around him. We got to be able to play together, and I think that's why these games are very important, obviously, to get familiarized with each other and figure out, hey, when I'm not as hot as I want to be, what should I do? And I mean, I think it's obvious. Judah Mintz. This kid makes the most difficult things look so easy. When he goes up into the lane behind, I know, behind the back, breaking ankles, going up to the hoop, changing positions in the air, and finishing with the left, I believe, on that one. And I was just like, holy crap. He just made that look so
Everything's
easy.
easy, but laying it on his feet. I mean, basically, with him. So, I mean, I'm right there with you. When a player like Joe, like, first off, I think that fans just got to get over the fact that he's going to be like, he's going to take the most shots on our team.
He's the senior guy. He's going to take the shots.
He's going to take the most shots. I think that we're going to see his best season playing off guard, shooting guard. And there's going to be some bad shots. I mean, we've seen him for 3 or 4 years. He's taken bad shots when he wasn't the guy. So there is going to be, but you're allowed some heat checks. In the first half he was hitting them, and then he came up, pulled up from pretty deep, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that one.
There was a couple where if he would have hit it, that place they would have blown the lid off the place.
100%. But at the same time, as that type of player also needs to know that even though you're hitting, that now that you're hitting and everybody's on you, that's going to make it easier for you to actually get the ball to somebody else to get a better shot. And I think that's really what Boeheim's alluding to is just that, like, you're already making shots. You already got 20-something points. Just because you missed a shot, just because you missed the first 3 in the second half, doesn't mean that they're going to stop guarding you hard. So you have to understand that, use that to your advantage, and understand that people are going to leak off their guys to come and try to guard you. And you got to, open it up for your teammates to get some easier shots, and then that'll vice versa turn around and make it easier for you. But as far as this first half goes, I think the most impressive thing was the fact that he scored 31 points and, he only had 4 threes, 4 of 11. First half he had 21 points. He only had 9 of them from the 3-point line. So the impressive part was that he was taking what they were giving him. He was doing backdoor cuts and finishing around the hoop and doing pump fakes and hitting, mid-range jumpers and stuff like that. It wasn't just a 3-ball. So overall, just a great performance by him. I think that with Jesse getting in foul trouble, he saved us, and we held on in the second half.
Yeah, Monier comes in, and he played some good. He played some good minutes. He
held it down on defense.
He held it down on defense. I think he had a block or 2. He had 2. He had 2 blocks in there, and a rebound. I mean, of course, you want to see more rebounding, but I mean, back to Chris and Benny on the rebounding and getting to shooters, man.
Yeah,
if they could figure that out, if they could get better at that, and visibly every game, by the time we get to conference play, it is going to be humming. And I really feel that.
Yeah.
That's 2 starters that really are behind, developmentally behind in what they need to do. And Benny, honestly, I feel like, I'm not trying to harp on the dude, but I feel like he should be better at this point in the game in his career at Syracuse.
I mean, he might just be a little bit too much in his head sometimes. There was that air ball where he was right there, and it looked like he could have jammed it home, and he tried to lay it up and missed it, and threw his headband in the stands. And I mean, like what Boeheim said, when you're young and you come in, and you're not the guy. We know who our guys are. It's Jesse Edwards, Judah Mintz, and Joe Girard. If anything else that we get offensively from people, I think that he's expecting Chris Bell to hit some open jumpers, which he did last night. And
he played good. I thought he played.
I thought he played good. It was the first game that he really, jumped out. Played 34 minutes, so he kind of took a little bit of a hold of that number. That 3 spot and that small forward spot. But if he doesn't continue to, get better and plus add some points, then you never know. That's going to open up for possibly some other people. But yeah, those guys, they need to figure it out, and I think they are, but we're still trying to figure out that rotation. But they need to worry about rebound and playing defense, just like what Jim Boeheim said. We got our 3 main starters, our guys that make us go. Anything that you can contribute is a positive or a plus. But if you don't play defense or rebound, then I feel like your leash is going to be short.
You're not in your role. If you're not doing that, that's what is needed of you. So a lot to work on. Like I said, Coach not that impressed. I didn't think it was unimpressive. I thought defensively it got better as time went on. And credit to Jesse Edwards on that last offensive sequence for Richmond. He went, dude. You want to talk
everywhere,
about
bro? And then he went out and jumped and went after a couple threes, and then came back and volleyball spiked.
He was out of bounds at one point.
Yeah,
he was on the Richmond bench. Yeah. So hats off to him. Just tremendous hustle, and just that whole sequence was just
crazy,
freaking mind numbing, and just so typical, bro. So typical.
Yeah. I would like to see because I think that the one thing that hurt us in the second half was that playing so long without Jesse in the first half, and you had a little bit of a rotation. I thought we played good. We did well. Not really worrying about forcing it down, but obviously it was because Joe was hitting his shots. But Jesse, when he sits out, when he gets in foul trouble and he misses that many minutes and then he's sitting for that long and then comes in the second half, it almost felt like Joe was still in his, well, I'm scoring everything mode. And Jesse was kind of like, all right, I'm trying to warm back up. And there was a little bit of a lull of, so I hope, that's one thing that I look for Jesse is to get a little bit more, don't take him so long to get into the game when he's sitting or, and I don't know if that's a mental thing or if that's just a physical thing.
I think it's probably just, getting warmed up, and the main thing to just cut that right off is just don't get yourself in foul trouble early.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be nice. It's ultimately
that's the main thing.
But when
right?
it does happen, inevitably, because it's going,
you got to come off the bench hotter than that. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, and
absolutely.
so just figuring that stuff out. We're still, like I said, we're still figuring out roles, and Jim's he's going to have conversations with people on his expectations. But a W is a W, man. And we saw some improvement, in-game improvement. Like I saw that defense get really good against that defense, and then they figured them out at the end of the game, and it was pretty impressive.
Richmond, not a bad squad. I mean,
no,
at this point in the season, pretty decent squad, and of course, resorting to the 3 is the typical. That's the typical focal point for most teams, and if they can hit them, then you could be in trouble. Okay, so Syracuse, quickly though, they will face St. John's tonight. By the time you listen to this, you already know. So I'm not even going to waste a ton of breath on it. So let's transition here, Joe, into Boston College. And I wasn't really going to go here at first, but I think because we've mentioned this on the show, and there's been a lot of talk about recruiting and things, Joe. That clip I sent you is a question asked by Dan Tortora and the presser on Monday. If you didn't listen to the presser, there were some good tidbits in there, and this was one of them. So I'm going to play it real quick, and then we'll discuss.
Not exactly where I would want to be, but somewhere in the middle. Okay. I think that this, and to me, this is the gospel truth. What happened to this state with COVID was different than any other state. I mean, I lost coaches because their kids couldn't play high school football here because we stopped high school football. And it's not pro or negative. It's just the way we handled that virus compared to everyone else was totally different. And I think it put a pause on everything. We didn't even have at the time, we didn't even have enough offensive linemen to complete the season. Yet, we found a way to complete the season for the university, okay? And I said that would pay off for us later on. It wouldn't look good on my record, but it will pay off for Syracuse later on. I still believe that to be the case, okay? With the injuries we had with the 6-0 start, this could have been that big payoff year. But the thing you got to look at is not the negatives, but the positives. Think about all the guys that got hurt, and it's a lot to think about, and all the ones that get an opportunity to come back and they all get an extra year, and what that's going to do for this university. So that's God's will and all the stuff that happens, but I think we can turn the negative into a positive, and I think we're right there still on track. A little bit slower, but we're on the right track.
All right, so the front end of that. Joe, we talked about this, and I wish I knew what episode it was, but it was probably, if it wasn't a year ago, it could have been 2 years ago, bro. We talked about, or a year and a half ago, when we were talking about this stuff, and how bad New York handled that whole thing. And not just New York, but the counties. How bad in confusing everything was with all of that. When you think about that and you put that into perspective when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to getting fans back at games, or when it comes to coaches, dude, leaving the state because their kids couldn't play football because they shut it down. Holy cow, that is some insight that we have not heard as far as some of that goes. We knew the surface stuff. We talked about it here. We criticized it, and we got criticized for criticizing it.
Of course.
To hear Coach come out and say it after the fact says something to me that was something he's probably been waiting to be asked that for who knows how long. So he was very diplomatic about it, but if you read between the lines, when he says this is straight gospel, he's speaking truth, dude. He's speaking truth to power right there.
He wouldn't bring that up if it wasn't, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, you can throw it on top of that you're talking about a state that, I mean, our college is in that had a whole year or a whole season of high school kids that had to graduate and not play. So that also is hurting recruiting classes.
Absolutely.
And players.
Talk
and
about
future
depth.
players.
Yeah.
Right? It's for the next couple of years because you have kids that can't play. And I don't care what you say. I mean, you can't just sit out a year and just practice and lift weights. You got to play those games. You got to go through. You got to get the bumps and bruises and play to actually get better. So not only did it hurt everything that he just said, but it actually hurt the recruits in the state, which is, I mean, you know, obviously we rely on getting certain recruits from the state. So, yeah, if, you know, people can think whatever they want. People are allowed to have their own opinions and everything like that. But at the end of the day, reality is reality and facts are facts. And, you know, he just said, and it's gospel. It's what he saw. It's what he lived. It
was his perception of things. And that's what, like you said, it's what he saw. I mean, coaches actually left for this stuff.
And we presume the same thing about the fans and the attendance that year. And that was the first year. They didn't even have fans. Yeah. So, and we spoke about how that would hurt recruiting. Because, I mean, what kind of recruiting visits are you going to when you don't have any fans, when you have other teams in other states that are still having fans and are still having normal recruiting visits? Just overall, you know, that's not something you can't overlook. And that's something that, you know, is going to hurt for a little while. And to his point, it hurt then, and we had to play a lot of younger players, and it still has kind of affected the recruiting class or the recruiting classes. And I think that we're still kind of
feeling it. And, you know, I'm glad that he finally got a chance to express it. I'm sure there's people that are going to, you know, use it as excuses. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a real thing. And regardless of what your opinions were on COVID and how it was handled, where, when, and how, whatever, there are plenty of people that just didn't want to deal with it or weren't willing to deal with it the way that some fans and some people were. There were people in charge who were too scared to follow some of the things that were being done elsewhere, let's just say, to put it mildly, because they didn't feel like being under the microscope because politically speaking, it could do them in.
No, well, there's that, but there's also players that were afraid themselves.
I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about the people who make the decisions. But I'm not talking about.
Well,
players.
I mean, you could say yes, even though people make the decisions. But you know, Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard, they had decisions. They could have played.
True.
And then that's, you know, Sean Tucker came out of that. So, you know,
right. I mean, everything happens for a reason.
For everything, right?
Praise God for Sean Tucker.
Right. So at the end of the day, there was players too, but you know what happened was those players, they wanted to move closer to home. So what happens when you're a D1 school that has less than 10 players on your team that actually are from the actual state that they play in, and now you have this thing come out and people can opt out and stay closer to their family because they're, you know, afraid of certain things or maybe family members and stuff like that. So now you got players leaving and everything. So all that stuff affects, you know, different teams and depending on where they are geographically and how their state handled this or county handled this. But to sit here and not be able to, you know, look at that and be able to see that that did affect some things, you know, you can't say that it didn't, and you can't deny it. You know, all these players or all these fans that they want to blame Babers for this or this or that. You know, Babers didn't shut down the state. Babers didn't deal. You know, he wasn't his decision to handle this the way that we did in New York State. So.
Yeah, and he mentions, you know, the positives that come out of this. You got guys with extra year eligibility. He mentioned later in the presser about a senior guy coming to, not a senior, I don't know, but a seasoned teammate coming to him and saying, hey, I want to commit for next year and use that. So, you know, there's some good things that come out of it. I mean, you look at Jason Beck and Robert and I mean, you talk about coaches leaving, and I think we got a more conducive coaching staff. I think it's more talented coaching staff. Whether it's a springboard for them to do something bigger or not, it doesn't matter right now. I just think it's well put together. But on the recruiting end of things, it freaking squashed it. And what is our biggest problem right now is depth. And I think you would be a fool to not think that some of that played a part in what we're dealing with, just in general with the team today. That's all I gotta say. But I thought it was poignant in well said the way Coach had laid it out, very diplomatic and fair. And because he said it and we've talked about it, I felt like it was worth bringing up.
Dude, it's something that you can't ignore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
so
yes.
I mean that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's something that he can't ignore, but also he's not going to place blame. You notice he didn't place blame anywhere.
By the way, yes, he did. He did not, and he was also asked about that juggling touchdown catch too. Did you see?
No. Yep. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he was very diplomatic about that as well.
Yes. So, but at the
he
end of
saw
the day,
what we saw.
He didn't place any blame at anybody's feet, but at the same time, he's going to let you know that you can't ignore that it did have an effect on what was going on and what he was trying to build. Sorry, not sorry.
Right. All right, let's move on. Right. Sorry, not sorry. Let's move on to BC. The all-time series between Syracuse and Boston College sits at 32-22 in favor of the Orange. Syracuse is on a one-game win streak, if you want to call it that, taking 5 of the last 9. The teams first met in 1922, I believe, or 24. Syracuse, I should know that part. Syracuse would shut out the Golden Eagles 10-0. Coach Chick Meehan, old Coach Chick, was at the helm back in those days. Last year's 21-6 win, kind of a weird one. The Orange scored all of their points in the third quarter. Schrader, 5 for 14 for 65 yards and 78 yards rushing, touchdown rushing. Tucker with 207 yards rushing on 26 carries and a touchdown. So listen, BC is dead last. They're 131st in rushing offense, averaging 61 yards a game right now. I refreshed my screen when I looked this up, and it was still the same. So Syracuse is allowing 155 right now rushing yards per game. However, they're 48th in passing offense, Boston College that is, with 247 yards a game. So before getting pummeled by Notre Dame and beating NC State 21-20, Boston College lost 4 in a row to Clemson, Wake Forest, UConn, and Duke. Okay? The 3 wins so far on the season, NC State, as I mentioned, Maine, and Louisville. It's still kind of up in the air, too, right now, I guess, to who Boston College is going to start at quarterback come this Saturday. So going into the Notre Dame game, Jeff Hafley stated that Jurkovec would start when he's healthy. So obviously, keeping the cards close to the chest. He didn't play against Notre Dame. We all know that. He's nursing a knee injury and he's apparently in concussion protocol as well. So that's the big question for me. Now, both of them have their ups and their downs, but it's tough for Syracuse to sit here and have to possibly game plan for 2 quarterbacks. So, as I mentioned, the rush attack isn't that impressive. Pat Garwo III is leading the Golden Eagles with rushing so far this year with 320 yards on the year, and he's averaging 3 yards per carry. So, Joe, the quarterback situation, unless something new came out within the last couple of hours, which I did not see. That's going to be something that's going to be up in the air. We don't really know what we're going to get there. Boston College last game against Notre Dame, not that impressive through the air, and I think 3 interceptions. So when they can get Jurkovec in, bet your sweet bippy, I think they're going to. But like Hafley said, it's not going to happen until he's healthy. So Moorhead's has been the guy at the helm here lately, and he's averaging. I mean, look, it's not terrible, but it's not great. But both of these guys get sacked a ton, which just goes to show why they're terrible in rushing offense, because apparently they're dealing with some of the same plagues that we're kind of dealing with on the offensive line front. So. Joe.
Yeah. So I mean, Jeff Hafley was pretty adamant about the injury. He came out and he spoke injuries in his pregame presser today, and they're absolutely going through the same thing like you said. Now Moorhead before before Notre Dame, when he started against Duke and NC State, he threw for 330 yards against them. So it brought a different kind of offense. But yeah, like you said, I think they have an issue with their offensive line. They're not a great rushing attack. They do get sacked. And even when you look at their statistics between Jerkovic and Moorhead, I mean, you're talking combined, they have 19 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. So they turn the ball over. And, last week, Jerkovic...
43 sacks on the year for both quarterbacks.
Wow. And Jerkovic, he threw a tweet out there because he initially, went to Notre Dame, transferred from Notre Dame to Boston College, and he wanted to play in the game last week. And in his tweet, he basically came out and said that he's currently recovering from a diagnosed concussion, a broken rib, and a sprained MCL. Okay. So, and he said that they were out. But, I would say that, hearing that it's most likely probably not going to play. It's probably going to be Moorhead. So, I think realistically, it's just what do we have? What's left in the tank? Where's Mikael Jones? Did Schrader have a relapse in his ankle, or is he going to be a little bit better?
I feel like Schrader is going to be good. He threw for the most yards in his career against Wake Forest.
He did. And Boston College has played some games where their defense has kept them in it, but for the most part, I mean, they've given up a lot of points. And I still think that seeing our offense last week, I think that our offense can improve or at least duplicate what they did last week against this defense. But really what worries me is just obviously a 7:30 kickoff at night outside in Boston. Mm-hmm. The fact that they do have an NFL receiver in Zay Flowers that has 70 catches for 967 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he is definitely a threat. And then, do they put something together do they figure something out with their offensive line against our 3-3-5 and see something that maybe in tape where they can put, because Garwo he's a big boy. So, can they scheme something offensively to maybe help their rushing game, help their whole offense? And the fact that it's a senior night, and they are playing for really nothing other than to ruin our day. And realistically, I think it's a situation where if NC State beats North Carolina and we lose to Boston College, then we finish last in the Atlantic. But they're not going to get a bowl game. They're 3-8, and I fully expect a win. It's just more or less. Well, are they gonna do some things that they haven't shown? Are they gonna just they have nothing to lose. And when you're playing a team at home, nothing to lose. Outside, probably gonna be cold.
It's going to be very similar to what it was at Wake Forest. So it's a low of 43 from what I saw. So it's going to be very close. It's not.
Well, our offense got to show up. I'll tell you that.
Our offense got. I think everybody's got to show up. But I would. You want to smell the blood in the water if you're Boston College and say, what. Let's use Garwo as much as possible, and obviously Zay Flowers is going to be dynamite as he always is. But you got to get the ball to him too, first of all. And if you don't have the time to do it, then that's a problem. So if I'm Syracuse, I'm scheming for pressure relentlessly. And if I'm Boston College, I'm going to try to pound the rock, and it's going to be the same thing, different team. And it just comes down to how successful can Boston College be at it. And,
how healthy is our defense?
How healthy is the defense? And, like you said, Mikael Jones, huge. Heartbeat of the defense. Heartbeat of the team out there. Back. That's right. But I would think that Jahad Carter is going to be back just because he was like, you could just tell he was wanting to go against Wake Forest. So, we'll get into predictions here in a minute, but it's going to be very similar, I think, game plan wise. How do you not game plan to just pound the rock against Syracuse? And if you're Syracuse, how do you not just want to just bring pressure and take advantage of the fact that these guys are easy to get to?
The worst offensive line that we've played since September.
Right.
And then to bring up months, that's another reason to be nervous, is the fact that it's a game in November.
Still, it's been 12 of them. That's been a lot.
Saying.
I know. It's terrible. Okay, look. It's time to get to some fan feedback. So, we are going to do basketball fan feedback and predictions right now.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do at the end of every show. We ask for your thoughts on, well, not at the end of every show. At the end of every game, we ask for your thoughts. I'm doing 3 things at once right now. At the end of every game, we ask for your thoughts. Also, we also ask for your predictions on every upcoming football game, and we give those to you, or you give those to us as well, and we talk about them here. So let's do it right now. All right, Joe, help me out here. There we go.
No,
right.
Will not.
Now we're cooking with
Welcome,
Crisco.
boys.
At least
Welcome,
I
boys
think.
in the
Welcome
room.
everybody
Water
in
boy.
the
Tyler. What's up, Tyler?
welcome everybody in the
Captain Patrick.
green room. If you have
I
not,
didn't eat that hot dog, by the way.
Down-
Sean's son did.
actually, I don't think it was his, but he does in the cat's out of the bag. So yeah, the kid puts ketchup on Gianelli sausage too. I'm ashamed to say. Don't know why. Tried to talk him out of it. So look, I never said I was proud of him. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Just
It's a
playing.
great kid.
I'm just
Stop
playing.
it.
So
Lord.
Tyler's in the green room. Hello, Tyler. Let's just make sure that this is working correctly, and I believe it is. So
Come on,
we'll
that's
just,
not like us.
We'll just
we usually
continue.
just wait to the end and see, right? Screw it.
It's been, of course, it's like one of those. It's one of those times when my computer is moving really slow, and it never does that. So we shall move on. The show must go on. All right. First, we are going to talk about Richmond. Okay, we're going to talk about the overtime win over Richmond, and we wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. We're going to do. I have not looked at these as always, as of recent, and we're just going to wing it because how else would you do it?
Hey, look, big win. ESPN2. We were on primetime. People saw us.
I was shocked it was on ESPN2, and because of what we're dealing with right now, I was hoping for once it was going to be a game I could stream and test this thing out. So, unfortunately, that's not how it happened. So, let's go, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the Book of Faces first. Let's see. Says there's an error in the green room. Try again, because there's people in there. Tony. Nate. Looked better than the last two. Everything is still a work in progress. Take the W. Keep working. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we talked about. You gotta take what you can get when you can get it. And, obviously this thing is not going to come together fast enough and for us fans. And obviously... definitely he's not coming together fast enough for coach. So I feel like his expectations.
He always talks like that.
I know,
though.
but he's such
like
a curmudgeon.
How he motivates his players. I'm just.
Oh, I know.
Just keep trying.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. So
Never satisfied.
Never satisfied. Robert, type of game you can build on. Yes, and let's get that on the screen. There it is. Maybe I should just watch the screen. Dave, defense looked more active. Mintz is a stud. Bell stepped up. Need to hit the boards. Boom. Right there.
That's
good win for a young team. Yeah, got to hit the boards. 44 to 27 is not going to get it done. Us not having the 44.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, we spoke on that earlier too, right? You saw in the second half, especially later, last 7-8 minutes, that defense really, I mean, the amount of shot clock violations, bad shots, they stepped up. You saw them learn how to, adjust their 2-3 zones to the team they're playing, and to come back behind and go into overtime and win an overtime game for a young team trying to figure it all out. I think those are all positive things.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it was a scrimmage, a dangerous scrimmage, but a scrimmage. Let's see.
And it counts. Scrimmages usually don't count.
Yeah, well, that's very true. Let's see here. Steve. Joe Girard is still making some questionable shot selections. Rebounding. Doesn't any coach teach rebounding? Don't rebound. Won't go far. Look, Joe was hot in the first half there.
31 points. And
it's hard to complain, but
12
we will.
to 24. I'm not going to complain.
I know.
It's 50%.
I know. Sometimes with Joe, though, people have a short leash on Joe because of just the history of some of the things that, he's done. So
that's him, though.
I know that's him, but the thing is that you do
like what we say with Schrader. Like you kind of got to take the good with the bad.
But Joe should know by now, and I think that is a legitimate critique of Joe.
Dude,
but
not going anywhere, man.
I understand that, and not when we are talking about scoring as many points as we scored, or scoring as many points as he scored too. 31 career high for him, and I don't know how you can be but so upset about that. So right, exactly. Let's see, Steven. He says, "Woo." He says, "Woo." Great defensive stops at the end. Jesse really needs to be on the court, really need a more consistent scoring option besides Joe Girard. Judah brings the energy, and it's going to be fun to see him get better. So, yes.
That's not going to be every game.
No, but the defensive stops at the end were obviously the key to the win. And when you talk about the sequence, and we talked about on the front end of the show, which you don't get to see live or hear live, we talked about the effort from Jesse Edwards just all over the place and making that huge block at the end. Now, he blocked it into a three-point shooter, but he missed. So
yeah, it's true.
There's that. But
I mean, look, they're gonna complain about it. At the end of the day, Jesse's not gonna be in foul trouble every game.
We hope.
Knock on wood.
Right.
But we had some guys come in. They played D. Somebody needed to step up on offense, and Joe did. So Joe's the reason why we were still leading at halftime, even though Jesse Edwards sat like the last 10 minutes. So I think we can kind of give him a break on some of the bad shots.
Yeah. It says we're having buffering issues. Yeah, I see it. I definitely see it on Facebook. So we'll have to work those bugs out. I don't know what to tell you. I wish that wasn't the case. So anyways, let's see. And it may not be Facebook. It may be me, which would be a little bit of a shock seeing that I've never had this issue with, but maybe it just takes more to stream to Facebook than what I was doing with YouTube. That's a possibility too.
Sure.
Top fan Alex on Facebook. Great win. We have to clean up a few things, which is expected this early. One worry would be getting out rebounded 45-27. We will get better as it goes. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge one. Obviously, we kind of hit on that, and it is what it is. So keep going here. Top fan, Zach. Oh boy, Zach on Facebook. I like the lineup with Taylor Hima in there. They look good on defense. This team is going to be more fun as the season goes on. I was expecting more from Justin Taylor, to be honest with you. I didn't like his play that much. I don't have much good to say about what he did last night. I'm not saying he can't or won't in the future, but
Chris Bell hit shots. Chris Bell made it hard for Coach to take him out of the game. So, like I said, earlier in the podcast, Chris Bell, he played his best game, in a Syracuse uniform against the Richmond team, which is probably our best competition thus far. And, I think he took a little bit of a stronghold of that position. Obviously, he's going to start tonight, and, let's see what happens. If he regresses and somebody else comes in, and it's still open. This is what the non-conference is all about. So it's still open. Just glad we got a dub.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. And if that's what they're all going to look like, and they're going to be W's, well, what the hell, right? It's going to suck. I think some of us are going to need medication, but besides that. I think it's good, but
it's hard to have certain expectations for freshmen too. It
is because you just don't know where they're at.
Highlights always look good. They're not all going to play, so you got to see what they do when they get in action against good competition, and then obviously how they react to that. And some react better than others.
Yeah. So let's see here. Let's continue. Let's do a couple more from Facebook. Let's go to. Let's see this one. I'm not proofreading these either, guys. So they may or may not be relevant to some extent. Brian, I'm happy considering the newness and not having Jesse 14 minutes of the first half will improve, but hopefully in time for Illinois and Notre Dame can lose one more before the new year. Before ACC gauntlet.
You got it, bud.
Mintz is great. JG3 in the right spot. Bell showed what Jim Boeheim sees and hopefully grows. Can't give up rebounds like that. 4 clock violations caused by the defense. Yeah, we talked about the clock violations, and I was actually pretty impressed with that as I was watching it. And I think, not for anything, there was 2 late in regulation, which were key to.
No, I mean, we held them later in the game, and like I said, that it reminded me of a team that kind of knew what they were doing, because you saw in the beginning of the game, Richmond struggled against our 2-3 zone. Then it looked like they kind of started figuring it out, and again, we adjusted, and the team adjusted, and our defense is the reason why we won that game, no doubt about it. Getting the blocks and the steals that we got, the turnover margin is what made up for the rebound margin, and that was why we got to get into overtime.
Yeah. Let's check out a couple more from Facebook. Top fan Michael on Facebook. I see Michael in the green room, by the way, right now.
Wow.
Just for we got, okay, well, look, we got Magic Mike. He's up in the green room, okay? And we've got Facebook Mike up in the green room. Now what? Buy, sell, or hold. Uh-oh. I wasn't ready for this. Judah is the best recruit or / player on the Cuse team since joining the ACC, Joe. Look. That's gonna have to jog some memories, really? First of all. But
wasn't Tyler Ennis first year ACC?
Like I said, that's gonna jog some memories. So I'm not sure, Mike. I love it. I do. I love it. And recency bias would tell me to buy that all day, but I would have to hold. I would have to go back, and had I been a little bit smarter about this whole thing, I would probably have done my research and looked at maybe who had been coming in since then. So,
I mean, it's tough because I don't know. I mean, Ennis was good.
Yes, true.
But Judah's been good too. He's not. I mean, he's so easy to like.
He's come out of the cannon though.
He makes, like you said earlier, he makes everything look so easy, except for like what I said, landing on his feet. He hits the ground so much. I just hope that doesn't turn into an injury at some point. But I mean, that steal and that dunk last night, that block.
Yeah, the block and the steal.
I know that. What's up?
The block and the steal.
No, he had a steal for a dunk, but then he also had a guy on Richmond had a fast break, and he ran him down, and he blocked it off the backboard. I think it ended up turning into a 3-point play or a 3-point shot that Richmond made. But I mean, he's had a couple from behind the back blocks. So that kid, he's got energy. He's athletic, sneaky quick. So
very, very sneaky, sir.
He is. He is.
So yeah. Let's continue. Let's see. Let's do one more here on Facebook. Nadal, top fan. Speaking of Mintz, haven't seen someone attack the basket like Mintz since Battle. Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's not afraid to put his body in harm's way. He sacrifices himself constantly to make plays, and I mean, what more could you ask for in a teammate? I mean, let's be honest, right? So, it's excellent, and I'm gonna have to reposition this. Let's see. Hold on a second.
So, FYI, by the way,
yes.
Halftime, Richmond is leading Temple 27-21.
Temple, not a bad team either. I mean, no. Not terrible. I mean, they're not undefeated.
They're always usually pretty tough.
Yeah. Well, you know.
So is Richmond. I mean, these are teams they're not mid-major type teams. These are teams that make the tournament. You wouldn't be surprised.
Right. At Oil Cuse. I'm gonna. You know what? It's not official because it's Twitter, but that's our guy right there. A win is a win. Happy for the win. Great offensive game by Joe, but man, his defense is bad. Here's a joke. What's the difference between Joe Girard playing defense and a poopy flavored lollipop?
Oh, God. Here we go.
Oh, boy. Any guesses, Joe?
No, I'm not guessing that. No, I'm going to leave that alone.
Look, I'm just reading what's up there. It said nothing. Both are worthless. Ba-dum-tch. Okay, so...
I thought you were supposed to... Lord. He doesn't play... And I mean, I don't know.
What? Say it. Say it. He doesn't play what?
I mean, he's experienced. I don't know. Boeheim,
We've
Boeheim
always joked Joe's defense, bro. It's okay. It's fine.
Well, I mean, we know that, Boeheim will... When you're that good at offense, we know that he will. But when Boeheim was talking, he was talking about, the forwards getting out to the shooters and getting rebounds as well. So, Chris Bell and Benny only had 2 or 3 rebounds combined? 4?
4.
Maybe?
4.
Yeah, that's not good for, forwards that played 35 minutes.
It's very bad. It's
not when you lose the rebound battle by 17 either. So
yeah, it's the opposite of good.
I mean, it just seems like they're kind of stuck somewhere in the middle. If they're not getting rebounds and they're not getting after the 3-point shooter, then what are they doing?
True that. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Anthony Quealy entered the transfer portal. I totally forgot to mention that.
Saw that coming.
Yeah. I mean, wish him all the luck. His mom's a sweetheart on Twitter, by the way. Okay. Huge Orange fan. All right, let's continue with the Twitter. All right, and then we will move to predictions. Oh boy, I don't know if I haven't proofread this since Cuse Waterboy.
Oh no.
At Damon 925434145 says, I find it hard to believe that just Damon is Dayman is taken 9 million times, but. Okay. I watched the 1991 game. It wasn't revenge I wanted, but it was a win. And then Tony replies, since Sean from Cuse Militia struggles with pop culture reference, I won't go all Nightman on you and pay the toll to get inside that boy's hole. I don't know. I don't know
either.
What that means, you, Joe. Do you?
Oh, dude, he was talking to you, not me.
Joe.
That's all you, buddy. All I can tell you is that I looked it up, and the Richmond beating Syracuse in 91 was the first 15 seed to beat the 2 seed. So, yeah.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
Only happened 10 times.
It only happened 10 times. We were the first. That's not great. Yep. That's not great at all.
But it has happened to Duke. Thank you, C.J. McCollum.
Also, still not a 1 in a 16.
That's a lie. UMBC beat Virginia.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that. It's not that level.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it could be worse. Yes. 100%.
Right, it could be worse. Exactly. Let's see here. Let's get this into the picture here.
Could be that first.
At Doug Funny, like the name, you spell it right, at Doug Funny. 5. Spell it like an American, damn it. SHAWN. Joe played great in the first. Hey, look, I'm just saying. Seemed to let it come to him. Second half, he reverted back to his high school ball, chucking ill-advised threes that almost cost us at the end of the game. He needs to stop chucking 30-footers with a hand in his face. Bell finally got going. Great to see. Well, if you ask Coach, Bell did not get going anywhere except for.
No, I mean, he hit some pretty.
He did. He hit some great jump shots.
Didn't he hit his first 3 threes?
Did it? Yeah.
And then he hit it.
I know.
He went 3 of 5 from the 3-point line. He ended up with 11 points, and he hit that mid-range jumper in overtime. That was pretty big. Yeah. So he hit some big shots. That's what kept him in the game. Boeheim can talk about his defense, but if it was that bad, or if he thought somebody else had a better chance of scoring or doing what he was doing, then he would have taken him out. So, Again, I think it's just a motivation move.
I do too. So, look for Bell to get better.
Chris Bell definitely obviously, hopefully, take more of a hold of that position. I mean, we've seen different players in there. We spoke about how Copeland and Taylor and him all had.
Copeland didn't even hit the floor, right?
No, he didn't even play. Samir's Hornets only played 10 minutes.
Now, what do you make of that? Because in the past couple of games, looking for Samir to do the Samir type things,
tough, dude.
and it just hasn't happened.
Well, we talked about it, right? We have a lineup to where we could play 3 guards if we wanted to go man, if we were in that position. And that's where he would thrive 100%. But if we're going to play the 2-3 zone, he's just too small to play the wing. And when Joe's shooting like that, and Judah, I mean, how many minutes are you going to take away from Judah and Joe when they're playing like that? It's a tough situation that he's in because he's definitely good enough to play. He has Boeheim's trust to play, but again, when Judah and Joe are playing that good, what do you do?
Yeah, I get it.
There's just going to be games like this, and there's going to be games where Joe craps the bed. He's not hitting anything, and he's not playing good D because all of a sudden he's in his head. Now his offense transfers to his defense, and you'll probably see Samir and Judah out there.
Right. Let's go back to Twitter real quick here. Let's see. Where was I?
I don't know.
At Tyndall Dave. That was a heck of a game. Richmond is going to be a player in the A10 SU. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were good, right? I mean, it's not because we're that bad, right? Right, guys? SU has a ways to go to contend in the ACC. Joe was out of gas, and Jesse stayed home. I'm not quite sure about what Jesse stay home references, but when you get in early foul trouble, I'm not sure. Especially two. What was it? 2 in like. I mean, it was
real quick.
It was quick. It was quick enough to.
And then everything was
get
working.
Yanked.
Defense was playing all right. Hema did okay as far as defense goes. He had 2 blocks, and Joe wasn't missing. So, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We were leading, and let Jesse kind of sit on, the fouls and come back in the second half and still have all the fouls. There's no reason to have him come in and chance getting his 3rd foul in the first half, not really knowing where that game's going to go. So, ride Joe and do what works. Really, realistically, I mean, that's it makes sense to me. Right. It all made sense to me.
I get it. Let's head back over to Twitter and wrap this thing up with at Be Straight 22. They look significantly better than any game they've played so far. Zone defending the 3 obviously still a problem, and not sure that will ever go away. Liked what I saw from Bell. So I think an obvious issue there would have to be the being able to shoot the 3s constantly on Syracuse, par for the course. It's frustrating. They've tried the man-to-man stuff, and we saw it. And, coach has also done that stuff purposefully to basically almost have an in-your-face type thing, right? So,
give his players a chance.
Right. Yeah. Give his players a chance, see what they can do, and show everybody else, sometimes why they don't do it. Hey, this is a long-time listener here. Nadal, unmute yourself and say your piece, or forever hold yourself, buddy. You there? Oh, is he gone? No, he's up there. Unmute. You got to unmute yourself. First time in the green room, you can't be too hard on him. Okay, we'll wait for him to figure that out. I think what we will do, so we'll wait for Nadal here, but what we're going to do is I'm going to switch gears here. Any final thoughts, Joe, on the, let's see, Mike, Magic Mike. I saw Joe eat a hot dog with ketchup in person, by the way. Thank you.
That's a lie.
Michael, thank you.
That's a lie.
That's facts.
You wouldn't say that under oath. Promise.
That's facts, dude. And you know what?
No, what I said was facts, too.
I appreciate it.
You two are obnoxious together, by the way. Like the same person.
Oh my gosh! By the way, I was Nadal. What's up, man?
Hey, sorry about that.
It's all good, dude.
You good, bud?
when you come in, you gotta unmute yourself. So it's all good. What's going on? What's your thoughts on the basketball game?
Oh, I'm pumped. I think we're gonna do a good job on this one. Yesterday, saw a lot out of Mintz that I would have loved to have seen last year.
We could have used it for sure. What about the development just in general of the team? About what you expected, or you think should have been further along? Do you, as far as even Benny goes, which I've mentioned, and do you think it gets fixed before there's an early conference game against Notre Dame December 3rd? So, after we play St. John's, we got Bryant and then Illinois and then right into Notre Dame. And, there's a lot of things that bother me that I think need to be fixed before we even think about going in beating a Notre Dame.
It's tough because I don't know if we talk about defense or offense here. Like last year, we had so many players that could score and a lot of scoring too. Like Buddy was amazing at that. The other Boeheim would be incredible sometimes. Like against Duke, he killed it. But if we're talking defense, they have the chance to get better. Whereas last year, I don't think they had that opportunity.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think the ceiling is way higher on this team than it was last year, without a doubt. And Judah Mintz on top of that 2-3 zone and how he handles the offense. I mean, we definitely could have used that guy last year for sure.
Would you rather have Mintz on last year's team, or would you rather have Buddy on this year's team?
Oh, wow.
Mintz on last year's team.
Yeah, I feel like that would have made the bigger difference. That would have made the bigger difference, but I'll take Mintz this year also. So, but
I'll take him too. It was looking pretty sad because I was trying to figure out which games I wanted to go to for this year. I live in upstate New York, so it's like a 2-hour drive from where I work to Syracuse. I was like, which games am I going to? And nothing looked good because all the good games were going to get decimated in without a player like Mintz.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think too, by the time this thing gets to conference play, and we talk about this is cyclical. This isn't something that's like a big shock.
Years. We're in the baby years right now of this season.
Yeah, we're still on milk. We're not eating anything solid yet. So, we're still on the teat, just sucking away. But, it's just par for the course. It's not something that surprises me. It's always my preface to the basketball season. And the fact that they're going to start, not only are they going to start games slow, not only are they going to struggle in non-conference games early, but just the team in general is going to take a while to come together. No, and we're talking about an extremely young team. So how Joe, or either one of you, Nadal, how long ago has it been since we had a team this young? I mean, can you think of one other than when we were kids? Joe?
This much turnaround?
Yeah.
No,
I can't think of one either.
I mean, talking 80s, right? Wasn't Billy Owens, Derek Coleman, and...
I mean, there's a lot, dude. There's a lot.
I know.
I mean, the whole thing, though, like you said, is that it's not, especially basketball, you can't overreact. It's a situation where your team that you have in November is not going to be the same team you have in January. You just hope that you don't dig yourself a big enough hole to where you can't get out of, which last year we did. But to Nadal's point, we didn't really have a great ceiling. Once we got good, we had a good floor. But we didn't hit shots, we lost.
Who do you guys think is going to be that next scorer that's going to develop over the next couple of games?
Besides
or is it going to be Williams, or is someone else going to come out?
I think it's going to be Bell, and Joe's a big fan of Malik Brown. I mean. But I think Bell right now is on the trajectory for it. I would have expected Benny by now to kind of be there, but I mean, I guess.
See, I'm along the lines of Judah and Joe and Jesse are enough, and that they're going to get you enough as long as
play defense.
The players around them play their roles and get their onesie-twosie layups and dunks and stuff like that.
True. Yeah.
Right now,
I don't think we need another scorer to emerge to where he's taking 10 shots a game. I think we got our 3, and we need the rest of the players to have roles around us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said it last year. You said that, when we were playing like Virginia, or playing against them, 60 points would win you the game. And we
the
scored
defense
74 yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Nadal, thank you, dude. I appreciate you. Thanks
it
for
was a long time coming.
Yeah, it was a long time coming. Thanks for finally getting
Nice
in the
talking
green
to you,
room,
buddy.
We appreciate it, bud.
It's your fault, by the way, that I watched football this year. Both you guys. So thank you for that.
Perfect.
Well, I'm sure you were pretty happy the first 6 weeks.
No, it was cool. It was great. I was like, oh, football. This is a thing.
Yeah, that's a thing. Well, hopefully we can sneak out 2 more. We'll sneak out 2 more. I can't thank you enough for you listening and participating in fan feedback all the time, man. Really appreciate it. Thoughtful as always. And you take care. Don't let this be your last time, all right?
It won't be. All
right, bud. Later. Yeah, cool guy. He's been listening and participating in fan feedback for a minute. So
always has great points, questions.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What else we got going on here? Are you paying any attention to the Spotify Live Green Room, Joe?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time for everything. Let's do. Facebook is. I'm going to have to work the bugs out of this thing, man. It is not great, and I can't tell you why.
What? Wait, because it's Facebook, Sean. We already know this.
I'm just going to go back to YouTube if this is how it's going to be. Because everything else works fine. My Skype's working fine with you. My computer I thought was screwing up, but I've been complaining about my mouse here for a little bit. And
did you call IT?
I'm IT, unfortunately.
No, I thought that was your wife.
No. She just does my picks for me.
Okay.
Speaking of picks, let's do some picks. We're gonna have to listen. Let's see. Is Kevin Patrick still in here? He's not. Let's do his real quick. Okay. Let's see if we can get this up here. At Oil Cuse.
He's buying a sofa.
Is he? He had to leave?
Nah, something like that.
This guy. At Oil Cuse, 30-9. Assuming we can stop the run, SU goes 7-5 in the regular season. That was my early season prediction. Then they go on to win.
Oh, good for you.
Then they go on to win.
Oh, good for you. And how was it?
It was great. Then they go on to win the Fenway Bowl against some joker, nasty-ass team like Memphis. Even though I'd love for Cuse to go to Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa against Buffalo, tailgating in Tampa would be fire. So, yes. He's a big fan of the nicer weather, and I can't blame him for that.
I wouldn't go. I'm not going to Boston either. Sorry.
So my plan is to eventually hit. By the way, we're reading the comment. Might as well talk about it real quick. Assuming they can stop the run. Well, that's the big question, right? So, I mean, I hope.
What run?
That's the thing. What run? They can't. It's going to be. They stink.
The worst rushing.
It's the worst rushing in D1. Yeah. Literally dead last.
Take away Zay Flowers, and this is our best matchup. Which obviously they're the worst team. So we just can't.
They got beat by UConn. I was going to say they're worse than UConn. Well, they might be. UConn beat them.
UConn's going to a bowl. So
true.
They are. They are worse.
So
they lost 13-3. UConn held them 3 points.
And it don't sound like Jerkovic's going to be in after what Joe explained to us on some of the front end of this.
I don't know how far along he is, but a broken rib, a diagnosed concussion, and a sprained MCL all at the same time does not sound
sounds like
a freaking
brutal.
Cup of tea. Yeah,
Hell no. Surprised coach didn't get asked about any of the Michael injury or any of the offensive lineman injuries. Now we know that some of the offensive lineman injuries.
Get an answer?
I know, but you got to tap it and see what happens. The offensive line injuries. I know some of those were not really injuries. I think maybe 1 or 2 were sickness. Now I hope that doesn't
rumors
spread.
Of sickness, right?
Rumors of sickness. Now you don't want that to spread. That's a problem. So
no, you don't want the sickness to spread. Of course. Haven't you learned anything from COVID?
Sickness. Not down with the sickness.
Okay. Well, look, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, why would you say an in-practice injury if it was a sickness? Like, why can't you come out and just say that they got sick?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
All right.
Wish I had an answer for you.
Just throwing it out there.
Not coach. He's very tight-lipped with those things. At No Blanchard 44, Cuse by a million. This BC team is trash, and if we lose, Dino should be unemployed by Sunday. I hope we can win by at least 20. I'm thinking 38-10, he says.
That's the thing right there. That is
Elaborate.
the biggest. Elaborate. If we lose the Boston, at least we've lost to good teams at this point. We've lost to good teams, and they're still calling for Dino's job because we've lost 5 in a row. If we lose,
I still think it's easy to call for Dino's job, and I still look. I think it's easy. It's the same thing we always hear when there's a losing streak. Captain Patrick's back, and we are used to it. So it's like I'm not even fazed by most of it. But yeah, I think that's a legit point. If we're gonna have an issue with Boston College and that's a loss, that's a problem. But what are we bringing there? That has to play into this.
Right. Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Right.
It has to play into it. Yeah.
Some people don't even care. It doesn't matter if we go there. Doesn't matter who we have. We lose, whatever. And if we win, then guess what? It's no big deal. They're the worst team in the Atlantic.
Yeah, they should have won.
They're the worst team in the ACC.
Yeah, they should have won.
They should have won by more.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we're in a lose-lose situation right here. We just need to go there, take care of business, and we need to rely on our offense, I think, a little bit more this game. And hopefully if they come out like Wake Forest, then we won't have a problem. But if McKell's out and we come out and we start slow and we have one of those, Pittsburgh, Florida State games, then could be ugly.
Yeah. Well, Florida State game was the ugliest thing of the year so far. So, not great.
Just saying.
Great team. Florida State's a good freaking team. They're excellent. Their offense is like one of the best in the country. So, kind of difficult to even.
Can we not talk about it?
We're not. Yeah, too soon. Sorry. At Cuse Waterboy. Syracuse 37, Boston College 17. Tucker with a big game, 150 plus and 2 touchdowns. Mob gets a couple key takeaways, and SU rights the ship heading into the bowl game. I like that. I like it a lot.
I do.
I like it a lot. Let's see. And I'm solely, if you see me skipping through on Facebook, it's because I'm looking for stuff with sentences. At our Boris 9, I'm saying I want an explanation or something.
You want some meat on the bone?
I want some meat on the bone. 37-14, Syracuse. Tucker with 100 plus rushing. Schrader 300 plus passing 2 weeks in a row. And the Mob gets 2 turnovers. Now, the turnover thing is a possibility, and here's why. Because if they've got, and I'm not even just talking about interceptions, man. They just got to pressure the hell. I don't care. Moorhead, Jerkovich.
Did you say 43 sacks?
45 altogether, I think, so far for the season for Boston College on the sack column. Letting them through.
Whole bunch of interceptions.
Is there
no matter who the quarterback?
It's 43 sacks and 14 interceptions between the two quarterbacks that have played this year. So that's quite a bit. 43 times they've been sacked.
That's like going back like COVID DeVito years.
Reading it's hard. Michael, same team, bro. Same team. Come on.
Oh, no, stop it.
Same team, bro. Let's do one more. Let's do another good prediction right here and see if I get this lined up correctly. Good enough. At David 7W, Cuse 41, Boston College 9, Schrader with over 20 completions, Sean with 100 yards on the ground. Gadsden will get involved, and a bit of our defense will be much more locked down due to BC's offensive incompetence. Carter may or may not suplex someone again, but he definitely gets an interception. Was that Jihad Carter that did that?
I thought that was Elijah Clark.
Okay, I thought it was someone else too, because I barely saw. I mean, Jihad Carter was barely in that game. I think he might have played a couple snaps. But
that was just
either way, that was the call when you and I were going to get a beer that we heard the penalty. Remember, I'm like, oh, it's a personal foul or something.
Oh, yeah. You missed that.
Yeah, we missed it live, but I saw it in a replay, which was a little much, but I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
I get it. Some frustration,
just a little bit.
Par for the course.
So what on that is? Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? What do we got on Facebook here? Let's take a look at Facebook.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot, right? So here's what happened to the Facebook, just so you guys know. This stuff doesn't. Maybe that's what's going on in my freaking video. but I don't know.
And you got too much stuff loaded up. IT.
No, I think what's going on with Facebook is that this is a different account. It's not my regular account, and I don't have an ESG score on here, so it might be stifling my stuff because I don't have any points.
What is an ESG score?
Environmental, government, and
Shut up. Never mind. Forget I even asked you.
Environmental, social, and governance.
I said stop. It don't even make any sense. Go.
It's the algorithm, bro.
Why are we even on Facebook if you're talking about that stuff?
I don't know. I'm just trying to make us more broadly.
God, I'm just trying to expand. Why did I even ask you that?
Expand our reach.
That's fine.
Because
we get back to the game.
Well, we went to the game and we realized people knew who we were and they knew who Cuse Militia was, but
that's true.
A lot of them just followed us on Facebook. The majority of them followed us on Facebook. We're like, well, what can we do with this Facebook thing? Well, let's try to live stream. Terrible. It's not working very good.
Look, I mean, there's not a lot of people that want to click on listening to an hour and a half of idiots talk. So I'm just that too.
Speak for yourself.
I am.
Let's. Johnny on Facebook. I think Cuse gets it done this week and gets back in the win column. Schrader had the offense looking closer to the product we saw in the early portion of the season. In pre-second half of the Clemson game, the offense was able to put up points, actual touchdowns. That's right. And we talked about that on the board last week. Defense should still have enough with or without Jones to be able to hold off BC 34-24, Joe. 34-24.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair.
Dom, shout out to Dom. He is at the hospital with his father-in-law, I believe, and
dealing with some stuff.
Dealing with some things.
Prayers to your family, bub.
Yep. Hope he can pull through on that. So that brings us to this, Joe.
Look, before you make your picks.
By the way, hold on real quick. We just got to tell everybody exactly what's going on. Exactly what's going on here. And that is that Sean has pulled ahead of Joe in the prediction game. Now 6-5. And it comes down to these last two. It comes down to the wire here. And next year we're going to change how this stuff is calculated to make it a little bit more competitive. A little bit more, let's say, not competitive, but what do you want to say, Joe? A little bit more.
I mean,
structured.
At the end of the day, we're basically
more
picking
structured,
like over-unders, right?
Yeah, basically.
It's going to be a little bit more structured, a little bit more accurate at picking.
Right,
but,
exactly. Okay. But
so remember when you came... So you came to my house. We went to the store, Wegmans, to get a whole bunch of food for the tailgate and for dinner on Friday and everything.
Yeah.
And I had that honest moment where I was stepped back. I was watching you and your son were standing next to each other, and I was looking, and I said, Sean, I'm sorry. Like, you're not as short as I thought you were.
Yes.
Like, you're actually taller than what I thought you were, right? When I actually tried to put perspective to it,
Thanks,
you remember
Joe.
when I said that, right?
You taking it back?
Well, so then we went tailgating the next day, and
I stood next to Michael
and everybody, and everyone was there, and
and I am as short as you remember.
You are. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. A dick.
It was short-lived for a day.
I'll take it.
No, yeah. And
I
I'm just doing this to kind of mess with your pick a little bit.
Did I mention too that I was
in your head?
I when Mike came in, I was like, well, he's not as short as I thought he was. Unfortunately, I was really hoping to be way taller than this guy.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. Mike,
he might got me by a half inch, actually.
See, but that's why you guys work so well together. That's why you guys ganged up with me. Is your little two Napoleon complexes running around trying to make fun of people.
Please. Please, I couldn't care less.
So, I mean, and then even Mike looked at me and he's like, oh, you slimmed down. Like I was like some fat ass at some point. Like, come on, Mike. I've been 200 for 10 years. Come on.
You're 200?
I'm disappointed. I am. 6 foot 200.
That's a lie.
Stop it.
Here we go. You are trying to screw me up, bro. I don't even have anything written down right now, by the way, but I'm going to go ahead. He said your face looks fat, by the way.
Who's that?
Magic Mike said your face looks fat. You're
That's
too close to the camera. That's why.
That's fine, Mike.
People say. All right. So look, all of the things I've said previously to do with this game, and that is that we have offensive line issues. I expect people back. Boston College, on the other hand, their offensive line just is not good. They stink. They can't run the ball, but an average of 60 yards per game. They may break 100 against us if they just pound it and keep trying. You got Zay Flowers out there to make some moves and keep everybody honest, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the pressure that we can get. And if we can get pressure on either one of these quarterbacks, I think it's going to be lights out. It's going to be game over. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think Syracuse is going to win this game. The question is the score, because that's awfully tough. And both of us have really sucked quite bad, actually, at guessing the actual score. But with what Garrett Schrader did last week, I think you at least gain a little bit of confidence. By the way, they took a couple steps back just before halftime and even the whole third quarter, where it just looked abysmal, right?
Yeah.
But they kind of did right the trains back on the track a little bit offensively.
I think it was just the halftime adjustments. I mean, just Wake Forest made some halftime adjustments, and I think that
they made some second quarter adjustments.
You could have made some smarter plays.
Yeah, they made second quarter adjustments, and they were effective. And so, I think my point is that we watched Garrett Schrader in game get better after he started strong, kind of fumbled around a little bit, and we heard Garrett Schrader in the post game presser from on Sunday on the show here, and he's quite honest about coming out in the second half faster and stronger, and I think that's the mindset they use going forward, and this is blood in the water, I feel like, for the Syracuse defense. And I think Michael Jones, if he does or doesn't play, I feel like it's going to be this, obviously it hurts, but if he plays and he's healthy, it could be a whole nother story. So I'm going to say, and this is I'm going to say 31-17, Syracuse.
Took my score, man.
No, I didn't.
I know. I mean, I'm on the same page with you. I think that there's some things that Boston College could come out and do that surprises them. Like I said, senior night, nothing to lose. Zay Flowers is just, to me personally, he's an NFL slot receiver. So at the end of the day, like, he can make some big plays. He's the reason they beat NC State, obviously, with the quarterback. So him alone, with the defense stepping up, if we make some mistakes, can keep them in the game. But I do see that, like, when Schrader's healthy, we have our big three, and we're playing against a defense that's comparable to a Boston College. We score in the 30s, and it's basically, what are they going to score? And I think they might get a little scoring early, but I think once we calm it down and we stop them, I think that we will be all right. So I'm kind of right there with you, but I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go Syracuse 38 and Boston College 20.
38-20. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good guess, because who would have guessed it was going to be 45-35 against Wake Forest, right? Let's be honest.
Not me.
38-20, you said? So here's something and to think about, and I don't know if it matters at all, but Andre Schmidt missing a couple of field goals. Field goals that he would normally make is a little worrisome, but I don't think it's anything serious. But I would just point that out, that he missed some field goals that he would normally nail, and I don't know what that has to do with the weather.
No, I think it's
the tiniest bit windy, but not too bad. You know, he kicked into the wind, at least on the 42-yarder. But any other day, he's nailing those. So
no, I know. I think that I think Babers has even talked about it too. I think that there's a big gap there's a big difference between when he kicks outside and inside.
Yeah, it's too bad though. Got to be able to kick outside.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, that was fun. That was long and fun. Look, we're going to be taking the Thanksgiving break.
Are we?
Okay. We have to.
Oh, we got to go to Syracuse.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back Sunday to do the post game for Boston College. Hopefully, I'll get all this crap figured out with Facebook. It's quite annoying. I'm a little disappointed, but anyways, we'll see what we can do. But I appreciate all of you for tuning in. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.